Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nick and this is Idaho Up, and today we're going to be installing the Rock Slide Tailgate Table on the Wrangler. Now this is a real simple install. It's probably the most simple install I've done so far, and the reason I bought this item was because I also recently bought a Coleman Cascade 3-in-1 camp stove, and I wanted a place to set that stove when I was out camping. Now obviously I haven't had these items long enough to have them out in the field and tested, so I can't give you any sort of long-term review, but maybe that's something I can do in the future. But as you can see, I have my camp chair out, and I do have a camping trip planned this weekend, so I'm going to be able to do my first test with the table, the stove, and my rooftop tent, which I haven't done a video on yet, but that's coming in the future, so keep your eyes out for that. And then again, like I said, maybe later on down the road I can give you more of a long-term review on all those items. So before we get into this video, make sure you do the 3 things. Help me get Idaho up on the map, help me grow the channel, and most importantly, help motivate my ass to keep putting content out. It really does help, guys. This is a small channel at this point, and I hope to see it grow. And I can tell you that every subscription I get motivates me to put out more videos. So I thank you guys that have already subscribed. So without further ado, let's get into this install. Okay, so here's a quick look at the table prior to it being installed on the Jeep. And I will say that it has a pretty hefty magnet on it. You can't open the table when it's not on the Jeep unless you pry it open with 2 hands. So pretty sturdy magnet. And this is the hardware that was included for the JL, which is just 3 bolts, 3 spacers, and 3 rubber washers. And all those are for us to hold the spacers on while you're trying to install it on the Jeep. I'm also going to put a little Loctite on each of those bolts before I install it. So that's the hardware that was included for JL install. You can also install this on the JK, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't have one. So the only other thing you need to do is remove a small piece of trim off the tailgate of the Jeep prior to installing this. So let's get into it. So here's the piece of trim you need to remove, and I used a trim removal tool, but you could do this with the flathead screwdriver. So after removing the piece of trim, just open up the table as if it was sitting on the Jeep so that you can stick your bolts through it and put the spacers on prior to trying to mount it. So I used a plastic caulking tool to help me push those rubber washers all the way to the last thread, just so the bolts wouldn't be moving around so much when I tried to mount it to the Jeep. Now just put some Loctite of your choice on, and you're ready to mount it to the Jeep. So this job's pretty doable with one person, but to make it easier, what I found is just to let the table itself hang down so that you can sneak in the middle, and it's easier to get to those bolts and tighten them up. all there is to it. The table's on. And this is pretty cool. I was unaware of this when I bought it, but there's a bottle opener on the front edge of the table, which is pretty handy. And moving on to the camp stove itself, this is the camp stove along with a bag that contains a cast iron grate and a cast iron flat top for more cooking options. So when you open up the stove itself, you'll see that it has these little wind deflectors inside. And at this point, I don't know how well they actually work, but that's something I'll be keeping an eye on, like I said, for a future video. In the center, you'll find the propane line, and you just screw this into the side of the camp stove and then screw a bottle of propane into the other end. Pretty standard stuff. And you can take out the center for easy cleaning, but here's the bag that contained the other two attachments I was talking about, and this honestly probably sold me on the stove because it gives you a lot of options in a small package. And here's a look at my final setup. I chose to put the grill on top because honestly the propane bottle kind of gets in the way on the second shelf. But in the future I have plans on using a different style propane bottle with a flexible hose, and when I get to that point I'll be able to put it on either shelf because the hose will just wrap out of the way easily. Just some food for thought. And that's it for this one, guys. I can tell you that the table's already come in super handy as a range table and a drone setup table, and I have a feeling it's going to come in handy for a lot of other things I do as well. So until next time, guys, this is Nick with Idle Up, and keep up.